My mentor, Dr. Philip Greenman, Michigan State College of Osteopathic Medicine, used to say, in the presence of vertebral dysfunction, in other words, facet joints that won't open or won't close, palpable fourth layer muscle hypertonicity will always be found. That's a mouthful. In the presence of vertebral dysfunction, palpable fourth layer muscle hypertonicity will always be found. So what does that mean simply? What that means is when you've got joint dysfunction, typically you're going to have some sort of little knots here in the lamina groove. Rotatores muscles, multifidus muscles, all those things, those little what he called fourth layer muscles are going to get hypertonic. And so we're going to, in this routine, search the groove for those little knots in the groove. That is indicative of some sort of joint dysfunction, but we don't know if the facet's not opening or not closing, so we got to test for that. So that's the first thing that we're going to do, is to try to come in on and palpate for anything that's bumpy in the groove, and we're going to hang out there and see if we can release that fourth layer fibrosis. Then we're going to do receptor recoil, so we're going to keep a constant pressure on the superior vertebra here while I ask him to go into flexion. We're going to try to open that joint. And then we're going to use that fiber activation to release any hypertonicity and get some movement in the thoracic spine. Here we go. Going to start by scrubbing in the lamina groove with one thumb. I'm just going up the lamina groove, one thumb, palpating for hypertonicity in any of those groove muscles. So the groove muscles, particularly the short rotatory muscles and the multifidi, will be bumpy in there. And when you find a spot that's bumpy, I'm not feeling a lot here on Tim, but I'm going to pretend there's a spot right here, about T2, T3. And I'm just going to get in here and do a little massaging on that fourth layer muscle hypertonicity to see if I can relieve a little of that protective muscle guarding. But unless I go and find the source of that, this is just palliative. It's not going to really do much. So, okay, so let's say I've worked on it a little bit and the knot is gone. What I want to do now is I want to see what's going on with that joint. Is that joint not opening or not closing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take his head, keep my thumb right in that groove at the same time. I'm going to get below that spot and I'm going to flex him forward. This is asking the superior vertebra to glide forward on its inferior neighbor. And if there's a problem, I will feel a bump pushing back at me. That's transverse process pushing back at me. And at that point, I want to keep a constant pressure on that. And I want you to tuck your chin. And I'm keep going forward and tuck, and I'm just going to scrub the groove. Just scrub the groove. This is real simple. First of all you do is just go in and feel for the little knots. You guys do this all the time. And then the key thing that you don't do typically is to bring the neck into flexion and feel for any bony knots that are pushing back against you. If they are, keep a constant pressure on that until you get what we call a smooth groove. We're going for a smooth groove. Okay, so that is pretty good, but I want to activate this with the last part, which is the fiber activation. Both thumbs in there. I'm going to be having both thumbs going both directions while I ask Tim to tuck his chin and come out. Tuck his chin and come out. This is great for facet joint dysfunction. This is great for ribs. A rib can be involved when there is facets that aren't opening. A rib will sometimes get fixated too. And just work along that lamina groove until you get a smooth groove.